Okay, you guys have probably seen the last few videos I've put up of me screwing around with my old Foundry, and now I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about it. The most obvious thing to see is the burner. The burner uses waste motor oil, and it is dead simple. It is a piece of steel conduit with the end uh, narrowed to a venturi with a piece of steel pipe welded in it that then hooks up by a hose to a container of used motor oil. The air is supplied by a basic shop vac, which is hooked up to a Harbor Freight style speed controller, like you can see here. Um, Although most of the time when it is running, we are running full speed on the air supply. The foundry itself is built out of an old hot water heater with the sheathing removed and lined with fire brick as well as refractory cement. And in order to get the simple waste oil burner to burn cleanly, we have to preheat the furnace. So, starting the furnace is pretty straightforward. I use newspaper and twigs, and I will put in a certain amount of larger sticks and charcoal to get a wood fire going in it. And I will apply the forced air from the shop vac at about a 50% level until I start to get a roar out of the furnace. And at about that time, I will generally turn on the oil. Now, as you can see from the footage here, getting it running is a fickle thing. It is important to have the burner pointed towards the center of the furnace so that it gets to the hot coals and actually ignites the oil. And it's also important to get the furnace hot enough before you put the oil to it, or else you end up with the frustrating situation you see in the middle, where I am smoking out myself and all of my neighbors with motor oil smoke. Not a good day. Not that my little buddy here on the right seems to care. So now that I've gotten the foundry up to temperature and got the metal melted, it's time to pour. Now, the rest of my foundry equipment here is really, really simple. I just have a steel crucible made of a piece of pipe with a couple of lugs and a tipping hook welded onto the side of it. And what I'm actually molding here, I'm attempting a lost PLA or a 3D print casting. Now, I have done lost foam casting, as you can see in the picture before, with polystyrene foam, where you just pour the metal in on top of the foam and you bury it in sand. You pour the metal in on top of the foam and it burns the foam out ahead of the aluminum, and you're left with a positive of the part. Now, I had read on multiple occasions that the PLA plastic used in 3D printing can be treated the same way, that it will simply burn out ahead of the aluminum and you will end up with a casting. So I gated it with some styrofoam. I applied some rods to make some vents to make sure that gases were to come out, and I let her rip with the aluminum. I was a little worried that the thing was going to blow up in my face, as I'd never done this particular process before, but fortunately it didn't. Unfortunately, however, the casting did not come out as intended. It appears, and actually the gating, the styrofoam gating worked just like it should. But as you can see in the video, and don't mind me on the left drunk driving that ladle, but as you can see, the plastic, as soon as the metal hit the plastic, it just stopped. And it burned the plastic and it melted the plastic a good bit, but it did not fill. It just got there and said, nope.
Wah, wah.
So that was the first day trying to cast things since I dug this thing out of storage. So live and learn, and we'll try it again.
Okay, check this out, alright? God damn, with that lid, it looks like it's a freaking appliance. You know, this in your living room, right? Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. Yum, 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 God damn. Let her rip, tater chip.
It's hungry for scrap. It's hungry for scrap.
Oh, damn. We got a full one. Now, am I just some dumbass who doesn't know how to cast or do Foundry stuff at all, or what? Well, we're gonna find out together. Oh my. Oh, that looks good. Oh, that looks good. Holy shit. That is, that's better than I thought. Hold on a second, I'll clean it off for you.
Okay, so a little more context about this. The pattern that I used in this case was just a foam pattern. I made it out of extruded polystyrene home insulation, glued together with hot melt glue. And I made it entirely by hand with just no molds, no 3D printing, no nothing. Just did it all. And I took some of my scraps, and you can kind of see it here, some scrap foam to make risers and gates. And as you can see, this mold actually worked. I was not expecting this. This was kind of a just kind of a impulsive thing, and yeah, I was incredibly happy with how this came out, even though from here it looks kind of crappy.
Only got a couple of defects. I didn't get sand in here like I needed to, so my feeders here ended up turning into a big blob of aluminum I'm going to have to cut and grind off. And I forgot to actually pull my rods. Those are old welding rods I was using for vents. I forgot to pull them out before I poured, and so they ended up, well, one of them got bedded in the casting, but that's not going to be a big deal. But the rest of it, I mean, besides the absolute shittiest of surface finishes, because I'm literally just using a mix of sand from the store and dirt from the ground and a little bit of oil dry. Yeah, this thing filled. No failure to fill that I can see. So this is a damn good start. Okay, so here it is after an ungodly amount of cleaning, and I am really damn happy with this. I've got two defects, well, three defects. I have these two here, but these are all kind of part of the same one. And I had a little bit of underfill right up here near the outlet of this thing. A couple of spots here. But besides that, this was fantastic. This is where I had my gate, where the aluminum fills the mold from. And I had run one gate right here, and then I had like branched off two separate gates that kind of went like that. And what happened was the sand didn't get in here very well. you know, just a little bit. It wasn't very rigid, and so when the metal came, it just kind of washed it out, and ended up getting me sand in this spot, which was supposed to be part of the casting, and then filled this entire blob with metal, which was a nightmare to try and cut off. Of course, this stuff's really gummy and hard to cut, but this is the shit right here. This is definitely definitely a good start. I need to kind of smooth out the inside, because again, this was done with just store sand and dirt. But yeah, clean up a couple spots in there. But then this will mount my, well, I'll show you that in a second.
So, what exactly this is that I'm making here is I don't exactly know what you'd call it. I'm going to call it a carburetor bowl. But what its purpose is, and you can see by the picture here, is for configuring a carburetor in a draw-through configuration ahead of a turbocharger. In this case, a GM4 turbocharger and a standard square bore carburetor. Now, I am currently working on a race car project that calls for 2 of these. And coming up soon, you will be seeing a video where I take this aluminum piece and clean it up and duplicate it, or attempt to. I have several different methods that I need to work out in order to make this happen. So if you guys are interested, stay tuned, and I will show y'all how it works out.
Alright, let's clean this bitch up.